Hey there, I'm Lance and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Sam, and I'm a non-gamer.
And we are Love to Hate, where we help gamers find great games to play with non-gamers.
And today we're taking a look at Link City by Blue Orange Games.
Link City is a game for 2 to 6 players in which you and the other players are going to be trying to think alike and have the same wavelength of thought with this one as you build up a city based on your thought processes linking up. And so what this one is going to involve, you're going to have lots of different tiles, and on those tiles are going to be different types of businesses or buildings that you would find in a city, such as a school or a playground, or a tattoo parlor, or maybe some kind of nefarious type places that you might put on the shady side of town. You are going to be placing these little construction cones of different colors in different spots around the town, and then the person who represents the town council, the mayor, the city council, basically, they are going to have a screen in which they're going to draw new tiles that can potentially be added into the city, and then decide, based upon where the different colored cones are in the city, which building behind the screen that the other players can't see should go in which different spot with the colored cone. And so you have to decide, does it make sense to put the brand new statue of the historical figure right next to the airport or the haunted mansion? Or would it be better to go next to the art museum or something along those lines, right? You have to kind of make sense with your connections. Plus, you got to kind of think, well, what would my partners, the rest of the teammates, say on this one? This is cooperative. You got to work together. Then once the person behind the screen has put down their secret linkings to the different cones, they reveal what those buildings are, and the other players have to decide which building should go with which cone, at which point, once you've locked those answers in, you reveal what cones the person behind the screen actually put up, and hopefully you've made connections. Hopefully you've put the buildings in the right spots and agreed upon that as a team. If so, you get to add more buildings to your town, and that's ultimately going to give you more points in this one. If you don't get them right, then you don't get any points, no connections. And the game is going to ramp up in difficulty if you get a perfect round where you get all the buildings correct, because then you'll have to start doing 4 buildings per turn. You'll get an extra cone to use, and you'll get to add extra bonus buildings into the city. So that's the idea with this game. It's short and sweet, very simple idea. Doesn't mean that it's an easy thing to do. However, there's going to be lots of times where you do make those connections and you're like, wow, we actually thought the same thing on this one. And then there's going to be lots of times where the opposite happens, where it's like, what were you thinking? Why would you put that next to a church? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea. So things like that are going to happen in this game. So Sam, let's get to our bullet point highlights with this one. What were the positives, the pros that stood out to you about Link City?
That I was really good at this game, and you were blind.
You were very good at this one. I was not.
Should be a city plan.
Quite interesting, me being the psychological.
Yeah, we played with our
health.
2 other friends, and every time that Lance was
the person behind the screen.
yeah, we were like, why would you do that?
I think I was thinking too deeply, too hard at this. I should have been thinking more about what are you guys on it. But yeah, no, you were very good at this one. You were very skilled. What was that gameplay experience like for you?
It was fun. I think it's slightly party game.
I think absolutely.
But without being that, I mean,
it's not silly
necessarily. Yeah.
Like a lot of party.
And it's not super quick.
No.
It is a quicker game, but it just feels kind of like a party game with you passing around stuff and having to guess. It's very simple. And it's fun. It's just a lot more. It's not super serious.
Well, I think the party aspect comes in that it is got that wavelength type gaming experience. If you're familiar with the game Wavelength or any game like that, where you want to be on the same thought patterns, the same thought waves, that's where you're going to do well in this game. So it has that social aspect of the game, or the more psychological aspect.
Yeah.
So psychosocial kind of aspect, where, you want to be thinking like, yes, that makes sense for this to be the way that it should be. this doesn't make sense, so let's go with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's where it comes in, and I agree with you. It does have that party-like feel to it. It's just not like the laughy ha-ha, although it's gonna be funny.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What else stands out to you?
I do like that there's different options. You have each tile has two sides, and so you're limited because you have to draw the 4 and you need to stick with those 4, but you can choose.
Right.
And a lot of times, like I was like, oh, I definitely want these 4, but then I'm looking at where the cones are, and I'm like,
it doesn't line up.
It doesn't line up, so I really need to use the other side. And I flip flopped that. There was one time where I was really conflicted about what side to use.
Yeah.
Because things like a casino, like you're just not going to see that in a lot of towns, but you're like, but I really think they're going to get it because we have this and this right there.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and with what you said about the cones, one great thing about this game is because so many of these games where you've got one person who's the judge or one person who's behind the screen, that it sort of feels like this is their time to shine, and they're the ones doing like 90% of the gameplay experience for that round. This one also involves somebody who's placing the cones out, and that's such an important part of the round that I don't think you really realize until the game's over, because placing the cones out in the town determines what that person behind the screen is going to have to work with.
Well, and I think too, after we played, we were like, well, maybe we should have really focused on, because our score wasn't fantastic.
Mediocre.
Maybe we should have focused on, getting these trees together, because that's how you get the points.
Right.
And so you do not only want to think about where would be good places to have buildings, but what places are going to get us the most points.
Yes, for sure. Now, anything about this one that maybe doesn't work so great?
I mean, I could see how it may be a one-trick pony. It's kind of the same thing. It might get kind of, I don't know how many times you would play it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. I would play it multiple times, but I definitely think maybe a gamer wouldn't, because of the party game aspect.
I think kind of in the same lines of what you're saying about a one-trick pony. I think this is because of the way the game works, and going back to wavelength, because I feel like these games kind of hammer in on the same type of gaming aspect. Wavelength has like a ton of cards, and you're working off that bullseye. So that's going to, the card and the bullseye give different variabilities. They're going to shake up how that person has to play the round. This one has a limited number of tiles, and yes, those are double-sided, but a lot of the tiles feel similar.
Yeah.
And so I think, the variability is more limited in this game. So I do kind of agree with you in terms
because you'll have like
how much game
campground, park, forest.
Yeah.
And you're like, there's only so much.
Those are a lot of like.
Yeah. And obviously you're going to put them all together.
You're going to put them together. So that works for that. But then how many more times can you go off?
Yeah.
Is the big thing with that. I think really where this game would probably work well with is playing it with different groups.
Yeah.
So I play it with you guys, and then I play it with my work friends. I play it with, the family reunion. Like, I think that's where this game is going to shine.
It's a good one that can be played with different groups of people.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, so Link City, that's this particular one from Blue Orange Games. Would it be one that you would recommend playing with a non-game?
Yeah, I think it's a great one. I think it'd probably go in our travel box. I think it's a good travel game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like this one a lot. It's a short, sweet, simple game. Looks pretty interesting out on the table, too.
Yeah.
These little construction cones. I thought that was pretty cool. So Link City, Blue Orange Games. Leave us some comments down below. Let us know what you think about this one.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.